Hello, and welcome to this episode of Catching the Octopus podcast. Today, I wanted to talk with you about inner child healing and how we can look past even not just us as children, but as we get into adults, even just look at all of the versions of ourselves that have existed and what we've been programmed to think and feel, the things that we've picked up along the way, the experiences that we've had, the way that we review those, the way that we learn from those, and the way that we can actually be hindered by those as well, depending on what's happened and where that's come through. And one of the things that I have done throughout my healing journey is that looking back, is the self-reflection, is the connecting with that small part of me and those past versions of me. Now, when I look at those, there's some fond memories that come up, and there's some fond experiences that come through that have helped shape who I am today. And there's also in that element some of the aspects that are not so fond, right? That have come through and given me different things to look at and different ways to perceive the world. Now, one thing that I make sure that I do is I'm kind and I'm nurturing to those past versions of myself. There's definitely times where I didn't show up with this level of self-love that I should have, that I didn't show up with the level of self-respect that I should have, that I made decisions that put me and my well-being last to serve others from my recovering people pleaser within me. And also where I've probably made poor decisions that have unintentionally or intentionally hurt other people as well. And when I look back, I have strong emotions that can come through for the previous versions of me, because there have been circumstances where I wasn't loved in the way I should have been loved. I wasn't respected in the way I should have been respected, and I wasn't protected in the way I should have been protected. Yet all of those experiences that I've had are in a combination collectively have built who I am today. Now that's the good parts and the not so good parts. And I think the key element with that inner work and that inner healing, when looking back at the old versions of yourself and that childhood healing and the inner child work, is recognizing that there's those two polarities. There is the good and there is the not so good. And we can't just discount the good when we're going through a healing process, because that should be celebrated, right? Those good elements should be celebrated. The good things that we've done, the achievements that we've had, the moments that we were celebrated by others, the moments where we were protected and we were loved and we were respected, they need to be acknowledged and celebrated just as much as the areas where they weren't, that have created some of the wounds, that have created the subconscious programming, that have created the areas that have brought up maybe shame or guilt within ourselves, that have brought up resentment towards other people or situations, or even towards ourselves. And, the work I do in the healing space, a lot of the time when people present to me with, autoimmune diseases or things of that nature, it's really wherever the body is attacking itself in a healing aspect is usually attacking itself because there's some underlying shame or guilt that exists for things that have happened, for decisions that have been made. And some of my clients that have presented this way, there was shame and guilt for leaving relationships where the partner then spiraled downwards and they took responsibility of that, or that their children then grew up without being in a family environment and they took responsibility for that. Now, we have to be accountable for the things that have happened, but our responsibility lies on where we are today and how we're moving forward, right? We can't discount the accountability. We have to look at those situations and we have to go, yeah, that was a pretty crappy thing that I did or that I said or that happened in that aspect. But now me of today, with all the learnings I have, I now get to make a decision that's going to be different. I get to now make the changes that are going to set up any future decisions to be in a better light. And it's not easy work, right? I need to say that up front. It's not easy work. It can be very emotionally taxing going back through and I wouldn't say reliving, but recounting all of the things that you have been through throughout your lifetime. But it's less about putting focus on the situation and more putting focus on why you felt that way because of that situation, because it's the why, it's the underlying why. And any healing that you do, I often will say, if something triggers me today, I sit in it and I say, why am I being triggered? What is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn from this? How can I step forward? Right? Sometimes I have been in a funk for a day or two. Some people stay in a funk for a week, depending where they're at in their journey. Early in my healing journey, it used to be about a week that it would take me to process things. Luckily for me now, because I do this so often and it's just so second nature, I can be processing things within a couple of hours and moving through to the next thing. Now, it's not something that you want to rush, though. You want to give this the space that it deserves. The key element, though, is not letting yourself unpack there and stay there. And I think that's sometimes the mistake that we make, because if we're not looking at that accountability for what happened, but responsibility to move forward, we sit in the space where we still feel like we need to be punishing ourselves for what has happened in the past. We need to be punishing ourselves and we need to be, consuming substances to try and numb the emotions that we haven't been able to process, or we need to self-sabotage because how dare we be successful now because of X, Y, and Z in the past. We also can't just bury the past, because whatever is buried will come through eventually. You can bury weeds, you can bury seeds. Every seed that's buried is going to sprout in some kind of way. And emotions are especially like that. If you try and bury emotions, they will come up, and they will come up usually at the least preferable time for you, right? They will come up when they're ready, and it will usually be an explosion. You can't shake a bottle of Coke and not think that when you take the lid off, it's going to explode, right? So coming into that space of having acknowledgement there, but not unpacking there and not pushing under. And acknowledging the things that you've done to contribute. I had conversations with people, with someone in particular last year about stuff that was relevant to my childhood, where my brain had created a story around what had happened. And I approached the person, we had conversations, and that person had a different story of what had happened. But what they shared with me wasn't strong enough to change the story that my brain had created. And so that's my reality that I'm living now. Now, I acknowledge, though, how I contributed to that reality. And I decided to pull away from that relationship because I felt like I was getting triggered in that space because I had too much stuff to work on. And in the end, that relationship was no longer in flow with me, was no longer in alignment with me. And those things, though, that came up had been suppressed for a long time. And my brain sometimes is wired to find the good in things, like I've programmed it to do that. But I also have to be conscious that while it's finding the good, it can often disregard the bad. And so I don't always have that full clarity until I sit in and process things. And then I have this memory come up and that thing come up and this come up. And I'm like, oh, I actually don't think that was how I perceived it back then. I think now I have a clearer picture of what's going on. So I know we're on a podcast and I know some people may be driving and doing something busy. So save this and come back if you like, if you're not able to take a moment. But I just wanted to take a moment in this one to actually sit in and do some inner work and to do a bit of childhood connection. Right. So if you have the ability to and you're not driving and you're in a space where you feel safe to do this, I just want you to sit in a comfortable position. Try not to have anything crossed. And I just want you to close your eyes. And then take a deep breath in, hold, 2, 3, and then let that breath out all the way out. Another deep breath in and hold. 2, 3, and then let that breath out all the way out. And again, deep breath in, hold. 2, 3, and then let that breath out all the way out. And just recognize now, just check in with your body. How is your body feeling? Are there any places that have tension? Although you can let your breathing go to whatever feels normal for you now, you might want to feel like taking a couple of extra breaths if you didn't feel your body relax for the first 3. And just wherever there is tension in your body, I just want you to relax it. Just relax the muscles in your face. Just let your shoulders drop. Just let your posture become comfortable. If you're sitting down, just feel the heaviness on your legs and your glutes just as you really relax into the chair. Now I just want you to imagine that you're walking up to the house that you grew up in, maybe anywhere between 5 and 7. Whatever's the first thing that pops in your mind is fine. Don't overthink it. And as you're walking up to the home, just see your arm reach out, your hand reaches out to the door handle and turns the door handle. And you walk into the house. As you're walking in, you feel safe. Whatever you experience now, you're there just as an observer. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can get to you in this space. And then walk through the house and find your bedroom. And as you walk up, you notice your bedroom door is closed. Reach your hand out and open your bedroom door. And as you do, you see your younger self sitting there. I want you to think of how old you were at that point. First thing that pops in your head. Don't have to overthink it. And I want you just to observe what your younger self is doing. Are they sitting quietly? Are they playing? Are they reading? Are they alone? Just observe for a moment what emotions they're experiencing. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they angry? Or are they at peace? And now just tune in with their younger self and tapping into the emotions, tapping now into the thoughts. What thoughts are going through their mind? Are they thinking that they're safe? Are they trying to avoid something? Are they thinking they're not protected or not loved? Are they blaming themselves for things? It's going through the minds of that younger version of you. And now, if your younger self isn't already sitting on your bed, I want you to encourage your younger self to come and sit on the bed with you. I just want you to reach your hands out and just take their hands in yours if they're happy to do that. And then just maybe ask them some questions or really tap into their mind. What's resulted in them feeling and thinking and behaving in the way they are right now? Do they feel enough? Do they feel loved? Do they feel different? And now I just want you to take the opportunity to actually connect with that younger version of you and tell them what you think they need to hear. Tell them they are beautiful. Tell them that whatever their behaviors are, they're age appropriate. Tell them that it's not up to them to control the situation or fix everything. Tell them that they're allowed to play. Tell them that they're loved. But most of all, let them know and tell them that they are enough. I'll give you a couple of seconds here just to tell them anything else they need to hear. Now I just want you to give that younger version of you a big hug. And as you're hugging them, just let them know that you are now here to protect them and love them and help them to feel enough, because they are more than entitled to all of the great things in life. They deserve everything amazing. And you're going to be here to help them with that. And now, still staying with your younger self, you feel the scene now changing around you, and you notice that you're standing at the front door of the house you now live in, with your younger self in one hand, and then with the other hand just reaching out to your front door, opening the door and stepping inside and taking your younger self with you. And I want you to show them around the house. I want you to show them the pictures that you have of loved ones. I want you to show them any hobbies that you've done, any projects that you've worked on. I want you to show them your favorite piece of furniture or clothing or hair accessory or item in the house. I want you to now sit down with them somewhere, either at the kitchen table or on the lounge, wherever feels comfortable, just sitting there with them. Maybe you've got pets and you're showing your pets to them. And if you've got photos on your phone, maybe you've pulled out your phone and you're showing them all of the amazing, happy moments that you get to have now with the people that you love. Maybe you've got degrees on the wall. Maybe you've got some trophies that you've acquired over the years. Maybe you've got a journal that you write in or a poem that you wrote that you're really super proud of. Maybe it's just that you've got a job and you've got income and you can pay for the bills in your house. Whatever small things they are, just notice that as you tell that younger version of yourself, look at them and see how in awe they are. To this little version of you, they are amazed at all of the wonderful things that you've created, all of the wonderful relationships that you have or have had, all of the wonderful things that you get to do. And just notice that as this is happening, it's shifting within them what they believe is capable for them. They're seeing that they are going to grow up to be an amazing person. Maybe make a few mistakes here and there, but ultimately they're going to grow up and be capable, going to grow up and have strong relationships, a heap of achievements that are meaningful to them. And they are in complete awe of you. They love you, they adore you, and they can't wait to be you. And now I just want you to give them another huge hug and tell them that you love them unconditionally and that you will always be there for them. And as you're hugging them, you realize right now that they're actually melding into you, actually becoming one with you. And now just going and rechanging, reframing the little version of you that's inside of you to this one that believes in all the possibilities, because you've shown them so many possibilities that are out there for them. And I just want you to sit in that now. You know, even when our lives aren't going to plan, there's still elements in our lives that are things that we had wished for at some point. And we're now living that dream. And that means that in the future, whatever we're dreaming up now will come to us in some way, shape, or form because the possibilities are endless. Now, I want you to take another deep breath in and hold 2, 3, and let that breath out. Again, another deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, and let that breath out. Whenever you're ready, you can just open your eyes. And as you open your eyes, you notice that in every cell of your body, you're feeling that upgrade. You're feeling that younger version of you, the surprise, the excitement, the respect, the admiration. It's all within you. And even though moving forward, you may make mistakes from time to time, your focus isn't on them right now. It's on the possibilities. It's on, your focus is now on a world that at one point you never thought was possible. And what that means then for your future. Because if you thought when you were little that that's as good as it's going to get, and you've now created this, and now you think that this is as good as it's going to get, you can reframe that and tell yourself, well, hang on, I was wrong once. Maybe I can be wrong again. And, you know, you have the power to go back and do this exercise anytime. You can also do work, you can do mirror work, you know, and looking in the mirror and telling yourself these things. Find a mantra, find an area of your life. If you don't feel like you completely love yourself as much as you should, then stand in the mirror and look at yourself and say, I love you. You are enough. It might feel a bit quirky and uncomfortable the first time. You might think, oh, I feel like a bit of a dork, but then do it again and do it again and do it again. And about the third, fourth, or fifth time, you're going to feel something change. And that's going to be the moment where you start believing it. So then do it again and do it again and do it again. Right? And really reaffirming you that you are worthy of being loved and you are enough. Yeah, we might still have things that we need to work on and grow through, but ultimately, the things that we need to do with the growth space, I probably said this many times before, is it's not adding more stuff in, it's just removing things, it's removing those belief systems, right? It's removing the programming. It's removing all of the things that have come up from traumatic events or unfortunate events that have happened that had making us now automatically think or feel or act in a particular way that isn't in alignment with us and our authentic selves. And adding things in like substances or distractions and all those sorts of things aren't going to get you to that place. It's about removing, right? So going back and investigating. And like I said before, asking those questions. Why am I feeling like this? Or why did this trigger me? What is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn from this? How can I move forward differently now that I've been able to process this? And you know, for me, a lot of my healing was around abandonment wounds and being abandoned and rejected and unloved. And I had to remove from myself that I wasn't worthy of love because I even found, you know, relationships where I think they felt like they loved me, but I think they actually loved the thought of me and the thought of what come with the relationship rather than really truly loving me. And that impacted me even as an adult, right? And as a child, I think that's the same thing. I'm sure people loved me, but their behaviors didn't always showcase that it was true unconditional love. It was usually transactional love. And so as I grew up, when something didn't go my way or something was kind of taken from me or someone left in a different particular way or treated me badly, I automatically felt rejected and that I deserved it. So in that space, I didn't need to add anything in. What I needed to do was remove that feeling of deserving it. Remove the belief systems that told me that this is something I had to endure, and come back into a space of going, no, 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 no. I need to go back to that part within me that loves me unconditionally. And if I stumble and I make a mistake, then I've got to accept that, acknowledge it, take accountability for it. But I can't let that then, derail me. I need to accept that I've done something that isn't great, and then just commit to myself that moving forward, I'm going to do things differently. I can't sit and wallow. I can't let that just go and shadow everything else in my life, because then that's going to have a ripple effect as well. So I really enjoyed sharing that exercise with you, and it's something that I like to do from time to time. And just sitting, if you're a journaler, maybe you can take some time now just to journal about that and see what came out. If you're a meditator, maybe you can take some time now to meditate and see what comes out. You may want to go do some mirror work now. You may even want to write on your mirror, I am enough. And even if you haven't got the time, or you don't have, it feels a bit too icky to say it to yourself, even just reading that every time you go in your bathroom is going to have a huge impact, because our subconscious will believe what's reinforced. We like what's familiar. Make that thought familiar, because you are enough. Anyway, I hope that I've been able to add value to you through this episode, and I look forward to serving you again in our next episode.